Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our morning Advent devotions again. Just to remind you, we're going to be collecting for Belfast City Mission at the church this Saturday morning from 10 to 12, and you can leave off your items there. And again, we'll put up on the Facebook page today exactly what those items are that you can bring. I would love to encourage you in your generosity to those who are going to be struggling a lot this Christmas time. I want to read to you a passage from the book of Exodus, from the end of the book of Exodus. We've been travelling through the book of Exodus in our Sunday services up until Sunday past there. And when you get to chapter 20, where we left off on Sunday, you get the giving of the Ten Commandments, and then the next 20 chapters of Exodus are really explaining more about the law, explaining about the whole priestly system and what's required of God's people. And then you get the instructions about the tabernacle and the building of the tabernacle. And at the very end of the book of Exodus, in chapter 40, the tabernacle is finally built, and we're told in great detail about how it's built and the items that go in it and the material that it's made of and all the various different areas of the tabernacle. And then we get to the very end of Exodus chapter 40. And I want to read the last 4 or 5 verses. Then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, the tabernacle, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. And Moses was not able to enter the tent of meeting because the cloud settled on it and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle. Throughout all their journeys, whenever the cloud was taken up from over the tabernacle, the people of Israel would set out. But if the cloud was not taken up, then they did not set out till the day that it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was on the tabernacle by day, and fire was in it by night, in the sight of all the house of Israel throughout all their journeys. In Exodus, in the story that we've been looking at in church, what we have found is a God who is calling into being a people for himself. That actually the main point of Exodus is not a liberation story, a great sort of movie script of people going from rags to riches, so to speak. But rather it's a story of a God who wants to draw a people to himself and be in relationship with him. It's the story of God with us, the story of God wanting to be with his people and have them with him. And so all through the story of the Exodus, in the early chapters, from the Passover to the crossing through the Red Sea, to the pillar of cloud and fire that leads them through the wilderness, to the lightning and cloud and smoke descending on Sinai, to this point here at the end in the tabernacle, where the glory of the Lord descends upon the tent of meeting. All of it is about God with us. And there are 2 messages in that phrase, in that idea. First message is God is with us. Jehovah, Yahweh, is with us. The creator of heaven and earth is with us. The Holy One is with us. And the message in that is be careful. Stay back. Keep your guard up. Because this God is holy beyond anything we can imagine. And it is dangerous for us to be in his presence. In the words from the Narnia stories, he's not a tame lion. He's dangerous, but he's good. He's intensely good. And so we can trust him. It is God who is with us. But then the other emphasis to put on that phrase is God is with us. Inside the tent of the tabernacle, there was a light, a lamp, and there was bread laid out on the altar. These weren't for God. God doesn't need light to see, and he doesn't need bread to eat. It was for the priest representing the people. It was a demonstration that God wants community with his people, that he wants to go with his people, that he wants to love, protect, care for his people. And so the glory of the Lord will move with his people as they travel. And you see there in that passage that we read, they don't go unless they see the cloud lifting from the tent of meeting and going on ahead of them. That's when they know it's time to go, because God is going with them. Of course, the message of Christmas and the message of Advent is of God coming to be with his people, of God with us. And I think we need to understand, whenever we turn to the New Testament passages, that we treat them in we treat that phrase in kind of the same way when we look at Jesus. When we look at Jesus, God is with us. He is the Word made flesh, the one who was with God in the beginning, the one who is God, has been made flesh. So when Peter falls at his knees before Jesus after a miraculous catch of fish in Luke 5, it's exactly the right response. When the disciples are terrified of Jesus as he calms a storm with a single word, it's the right response. When Peter, James and John fall on their faces as Jesus is transfigured before them on the mountain, it's the right response. There is a recognition that this person is of a different order of being, that God is with us. But we also need to get the other side of that message. God is with us. Jesus has, in the original version of John chapter 1, pitched his tent. Throwback to the idea of the tabernacle. He has pitched his tent among us. He has, in Peterson's translation, moved into our neighborhood. He's with us in the small details of life. He's with us in the struggles. He's with us in the sorrows. He's with us in the joys and the celebrations as well. God is with us. He cares for us. He cares for you. And whatever struggle or sorrow or joy or celebration is on your horizon, he knows. He cares. He is with you. In the book of Exodus and later on in the story of God's people, whenever they build the temple, the glory of the Lord falls dramatically on the place that has been built. It falls with great signs of awe and wonder, and nobody could miss it. But when Jesus comes into the world, when God's glory comes into the world through him, comes silently, comes in the collection of cells that form a fetus in a mother's womb, it comes secretly, it comes in an unknown way. And yet it comes, the glory of God in Jesus comes for exactly the same purpose. To be with us, to create and shape a people for himself, and to be with us. The carol writer perhaps puts it best when he says, how silently the wondrous gift is given. So God imparts to human hearts the blessings of his heaven. No ear may hear his coming, but in this world of sin where meek souls will receive him still, the dear Christ enters in. Dear Christ enters in. God with us today. God bless.